Hello everyone. How are you doing today? Um, this beautiful day of, I guess it will be Saturday actually, because I will take a little day off. Well, by the time I post this, I have, I took a day out actually, but right now I just decided it actually to take Friday off. Well, it's actually taking Thursday off from editing, but you got the point. So, um, here we are. Here we actually stay with our beautiful train. Everything looks great. I am really happy with the product that we have at this point. I hope you are too, and I hope you're really proud of what you're doing. Again, this is not something that a lot of people get to usually do. So if you're here, that's amazing. Good job. So, with this being said, we should get into the video because we have a lot to talk about and a lot to do actually. So, without further ado, please leave a like on this video if you like it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and even if you are subscribed, you know what you can do? Share the video and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the series. Tell me what you think about me. And you know what? Tell me things in general. You know about 3D. If you have any questions, and maybe if you want, I don't know, any opinion or something. I have no clue. All right. So, with this being said, let's get to the video. All right. So here we are. We are at part. What is it? 28. Well, that evolved quickly. So here's what we do. We have the train, we have the textures. Basically, the next step would be lighting, right? Well, kind of, but
Wrong.
we don't do that. Not yet. Just not yet. The reason we don't do it yet is because there's a few more things we can do. First, I did talk about some smaller details. And yes, I keep saying details all the time, but here's why. Let me actually render this to show you better. Well, one you can see already, the other one you can't right now. If you render the train, the way it is set up right now with the lighting and all, you'll see that our actual wagons seem kind of whack because, and even actually the cabin, because they seem empty. They are actually empty, right? All we see here, it's the back of the cabin. All we see here, it's dark because there's nothing in there. So how can we fix this? Well, the easy answer would be we model stuff. But we're finished on modeling, aren't we? Well, yes and no. So here's the deal. We will use a technique that we did see in the beginning of the tutorial, which is image on planes. I think you remember this, right? Image on planes, it's an add-on. If you don't know how to install an add-on, you go to Edit, Preferences, go to Add-ons, and just write images on planes, I think it was. Just a second. All right, so yeah, import images as planes. This is the add-on, tick the box, and there you have it. And what does that let us do? Well, basically, we will just put images that we want inside of our wagons and the cabin actually to kind of simulate that there is an actual inside of this train, right? Why would we do this though? Why won't we actually model stuff? Well, besides the fact that it will take way longer, and that's a big thing, there's another thing, which is actually optimization. For image on planes, you don't have to, sculpt details. You don't have to, make subdivision surfaces and stuff like that. All you need to do is basically have that, match a little bit of geometry to kind of seem it's a 3D object and not just an image. Maybe around some corners here and there to just make it look a little better. And that's kind of it. And in the original train, which I'm going to pull a picture of right kind of about here, um, well, those bolts you see like on the reservoir and stuff that actually we don't have here, right? Those whole things are not actually 3D objects. Those are images on planes. And the way that works, so let me just do it once for you, because here's what I did. I took some images of some screws and some bolts, and I used GIMP to make them PNGs. And well, I'll just use them to get what we need. So go to images as planes, and let's get what we need. So these are the ones I took a picture for, and I just made them PNGs. So RZ98 to see it, and this is a screw. The screw head anyway. You don't need the whole thing. So what can we do with this? It's actually pretty, I mean, easy and really cool. We can just go with this right here, scale it all the way down as much as we need, and just put it right there. And you will say yes, but we can still see its actual plane. And you're right. Even though I would like to say you don't, which maybe to a point is true. You don't really see it from here. It wouldn't make a difference. You would be able to see a little bit of a difference at the end of the day. All right, so having this, right? What can we do to make it look like not a picture anymore, like not a PNG? Well, we actually will create the details, but for that we need a little bit of a play with this. So we go into edit mode, right? Select the face, insert it, maybe somewhere around, let's say here. We need the corners to be inside the actual screw. And from now on, if you want to move it, just press GG. If you will move it with just G, this will actually affect the geometry, or the image rather. So GG all the time if you want to move. And by the way, you will want all your vertices to be inside of the actual picture, not where there's no picture here, because you will actually modify that empty, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in just a second. So and let's actually just take one for now. GG, kind of around there, right here. No, wait. First did my mistake. GG again. And you basically just try to recreate the round shape of it. Personally, I do recommend square bolts, and the reason for it is they do require a little less geometry because you don't have to do the roundness of them, right? You can kind of skip that shape of theirs. All right, so I have all this, right? So now I can just select all the faces, and well, we can just extrude this. Maybe kind of about there. And then let's create two loops here, sorry. And now again, selecting all the faces. What we will do is with the proportional editing turned on, just slowly, scale it in. And that's going to give us the, sensation that there's an actual 3D-ness to it. But we can also do this for the inside here, which is pretty easy to do. And the way we do that, it's actually by, well, I wanted to do a little trick, but it did not work, did it? We can actually do it with these, can we? Just move these where we need them to be. So kind of there, here. Basically, we'll just recreate the geometry of this now, right? But as you can see, there's not really a lot of geometry to work with, at least not enough geometry. So we'll just, try to do the best that we have with what we have, I mean, sorry. All right, there, kind of here. All right. I also didn't take the best picture of the screw, I'll be totally honest. And add another loop here. Kind of like this. And I think we'll also need one more here. One will be here and one will be here. And now we can just select these, not these, just the ones here on the inside, and insert them in, scale them just a little bit, or not even scale them necessarily. So we can just do this, right? And this, my friends, is the screw. You don't have to work more than this. This is more than enough. And you say, yeah, but it doesn't look that good, does it? Well, geometry wise, maybe not. But when you put it here, right, it wouldn't matter. It would genuinely not matter. And actually, let's get it very close. Now, we could try to do this, but we have, a very useful tool that I didn't show you yet, which is a modifier. A modifier, you find that the foam, it's called shrink wrap. Now, what shrink wrap does is it lets you actually choose an object, right, which we will have the bolt. And sorry, not choose that. So this is the one that has already the modifier. You can choose an object to basically wrap it around or wrap it to its surface. What I'm saying by this, so I'll take the reservoir and it, as you see, sticks it to the actual surface. But we don't want on the surface, we want it above the surface. And let's put it at 1 millimeter. And this is gonna be just at 1 millimeter distance from the actual body. We can put it at less than that, like 0.002. It's gonna be super close. And it's like in there, right? And yeah, that's how this looks. And all you gotta do is then look at this. Like this, right? Now the problem with doing this is really this will be taken in as an image. Again, when you do the shrink wrap, which means all that beautiful geometry we worked with, well, you can forget about that one. And I would say there's not that much of a difference. Or at least I don't think it is. So you know what? I would actually be okay with this. And you just have to put this, right? Like put a lot of these. That's actually duplicated. And actually, I would rather make this smaller and do something like this. And maybe add some more modifiers, right, to it. So let's go to generate array. Instead of X, we will choose it to be on -1 on Z. And let's see. Did I think I did not apply the rotation, did I? Yeah. So actually, before we alt D, what we should do is actually get the array, actually apply the scale, apply the rotation, get an array modifier, put the Z to -1 and the X to 0. And now, just play around with this, play around with their size. We'll keep it there. And yeah, this just kind of about it. And then how many do we want? Well, let's say 4, and actually, increase the distance between them a little bit. And we also can mirror them, right? So you can apply a mirror modifier on the x-axis by the reservoir, and there we have it. We have screws all around our reservoir, and that gives even more character to our train, which is the good thing, which is the thing we actually need to have. And I think that's pretty cool. It's easy to do. It's giving a very good effect to our 3D object. And I don't know, it's just a very reliable tool if you ask me. All right, so that's a way to do stuff, right? But you can also take some images off the internet, which I also did. I'm gonna post this again. The link to this in the description of the video. And as you can see, this does not have one screw. It has a lot of screw heads, right? So what can we do if we do have this? Like this is could be considered an inconvenience, wouldn't it? Well, not exactly. So there are a few things we can do with it. We can either go to materials and, with the mapping node, we can actually set this to each screw we need. Or what else we can do is actually with the knife tool. So go into edit mode, press, oh, I did not have the screencast, of course. Press K and then just click where you want this to cut, right? This will cut your basically mesh. And press enter. And actually I want to move this just a little bit. Again, GG, don't do, anything else. And actually I will need a new node here. So let's take this up, join these two. Oh, now move them like this because it's going to affect the geometry. And take these two, move them a little bit. And the reason you want to do this, it's because this way we could take these, delete the faces, and this as well, come on, and remain with only the screw we need. If we want more screws, we just go here, select these vertices, either extrude, either just, we can move again in the image texture where we want them, right? That's it. That's as easy as it goes. This basically still has that image, and just to prove it, oh, we're not in the material. I was waiting for it to render, and I had no clue what was going on. We will have this, right? The image and stuff. Pretty cool. Press Ctrl T to get the texture coordinate and the mapping node. And with this, what we really got to do is, move the X here, and we get another head of the screw and another head of the screw, and so on and so forth. That was basically what we could have done for the others as well. But, it's the same thing. I think this is a little easier, so that's why I would choose it. And instead of doing the shrink wrap, which again makes it back to a PNG, but again, it doesn't really matter. This one, we will do fully, 3D-ish. And what I mean by that is insert this face kind of about here, right? And let's see. Let's make another lip here. And let's get this as, good as possible. They don't have to be perfect. Again, as long as you don't have them outside of where the image actually of the screw actually is, we don't really care. So it's fine. You can have some little errors there. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be our secret. So we have all this, which is pretty cool, ain't it? Kind of like this. And take these two, extrude it, get it a little bit up, maybe scale it just a little bit, however you want. And that's about it. We have the actual geometry of this, which is, again, super nice. Also, what we can do, well, we could also delete like always, right? We can probably delete these faces just like that and remain only with the screw, which actually looks better. And what else we can do? Actually, let me dash this. Is we could, as go into edge select mode, select all these edges, right? Fill them. Should we fill them in? Yeah. No. Yeah, we should. So take this, fill them in, which will give us again the head screw here. We don't care about that one, which is cool by me. Just get it all the way down, and then extrude it. And then again, edge select, and make sure this actually has a face here. All right. So as you can see, it doesn't. Fill it. Did it fill it? Okay, it was. Yeah, it was filled. Actually, yeah, if I go like this, I can see it. All right, no vertices overlapping. I thought it was overlapping because I did a face twice, the fill. twice, so that's why. All right, and by having this, let's press dash one more time. What we can do is actually go to, let's say this one here, RZ90. And actually, let me have the scale and the rotation. And actually, I need this to be totally different. And I also hate the origin. So let's put the origin to the actual geometry. All right, so having this, well, we will need to play around with its position a little bit, because it's definitely not where we wanted it. But let's scale it down just some more. I think that's actually a little too much. Kind of like this, maybe. We can change this later on. It's not like it's the end or something, but have it roughly around the scale you want and just get this in. Again, roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. So rotate by X like this. Scale it. G and double Z. And actually we need rotation by Y. And because of this, we will actually have the screw inside of this. How about that? That's pretty cool. At least I think it's cool. I don't know how cool it actually is. And also, again, we could extrude this a little more, make it, again, more visible. It just depends on you guys. So, having this, when we actually go to render view, which will take a little bit. All right. As you can see here, we have a lot of geometry now. This will be the effect we get. This is our body, which I personally don't think looks bad at all. Again, we could modify the rotation and the direction, position, and whatever to make it look even better. And you might think, well, this doesn't look like it's part of the scene, right? Not covering snow, not having this, not having that. And you're kind of right. But we can change all this from the shader. It's the same idea that it was with all the other materials, right? Let's say, well, this is not metallic enough, right? Make it metallic. Make it metallic. You can make it with no roughness, with just a little bit of roughness. So let's make it 0.15. It's going to be reflective, but it's not going to be that reflective. And go into render mode to see it even better, because again, in a material mode, you can kind of see through it because it's basically planes. And there it is. It actually looks like a metal. And you can put grunge on it, you can put snow on it, all the good stuff, just like we did for all the other materials. And that's basically the power of, well, images on planes, right? We can add this sort of detail for free, basically. And it does actually look much better. The reason it does that, if you ask me, it's because it makes sense to do so. And then, you can just play around with it and, have it around, move it, do all kind of good stuff. For some reason, apparently screwing things up. Just a second. Here we are. Let's go back to our values. And let's save, actually. All right. We can Alt-D this and move it on Y. Am I moving it? I'm not sure. Well, yeah. All right. Yeah, so we can just move this along the way, and adjust it accordingly. Have it stay however you need it to stay, and just take care to actually respect your scene. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it wouldn't really matter, but it does give a really cool effect, doesn't it? And it does give that realism to it, right? Like, yeah, those are actually two pieces. Yes, they're actually put together by those, and it just makes sense to be so. We will do this for the lead, we will do this for the reservoir, and basically we will use the same thing to actually fill the cabin and the wagons. So let's actually get to this. All right, so now that the bolts and the screws are kind of out of the way, I will have a time lapse with doing that maybe, or at least a part of it. I'm not gonna, waste a lot of time on that because I don't think that's necessary. But now we should move to the interior of, the wagons and stuff. And this one is actually pretty easy to do. So I did say we'll do it with image textures. Well, actually with images splines, but I did realize that would not actually look too good. It would not look at all like, the actual place. So we will probably not do this. However, what we will do is we will model. Yay, back to modeling, our favorite stuff. Um, Now the point is, this is not going to take too long. We're going to basically just model just a few things, nothing crazy. So I do advise you to hide the top of the wagon and also the inside, the windows, so that we can see on the inside. Um, and we don't have to, kill ourselves with this. Uh, People are barely going to see it, and it's just basically to kind of add volume to our scene. And when you do see a little bit on the in the inside of the windows, to see that, oh, there is something in there. Like, the train is not an empty little cabin place. And I think that is just better. Let me see if the plane is set pretty well. We could get this a little bit like this, something like that. All right, so with the plane, a little above the wagon's floor, which, well, this one will be our new floor actually. What we will have to do is take this, go to the modifiers, get a boolean, and choose the wagon number one. And that's about it. Now the floor is perfectly matching what we have in the wagon. Okay, so now let me just call this floor. Okay, perfect. And now um, what we need to do is actually model the rest of the bodies, right? So what we will really have, well, I did, search for some examples, and yes, it's the Harry Potter cabin because that's the one I kind of wanted to simulate. And so it's not a lot that we have to do, right? Like, uh, you know, two couches, and a place where you can put your luggages, and a few lamps. That's kind of it, right? It's nothing crazy about it. Okay, so with all this being said, let's actually do this again. We don't need to complicate ourselves a lot with this. Keep it simple. Keep it to simple geometry. We don't want to add a lot more geometry to this scene, especially because this is not one of those important parts, right? Like, this is, if you ask me, just a part to be done, just for people to be able to see a little bit of. Okay. Um, Let me make sure that this is, well, it's a little trickier to work inside of the wagon, but this is the way I will do it, because this way I can make sure that I respect, the wagon's um, kind of exact arrangement. So maybe somewhere around here would be good. All right. And G and Z to actually move it up and have our base of the couch here. G and X, and actually let's scale it, on the X and on the Z, kind of like about there, and put it put it behind here. All right, so with this being done, add another loop. Select the face up here and extrude this kind of about there maybe. All right, and that's about it. That's about our first couch. And it does look kind of tiny. It's like not a right proportion. So you know what? Let's make it a little bigger. All right, maybe something of the sort would do it just a little more justice. Maybe this is too much actually. Hmm? I don't know. Kind of about there. Maybe it works. So apply the scale and the rotation for this one, and let's get a bevel. Let's bevel this, and maybe a 7. Also, we should, play around with this, or with the length of the bevel. So for me, 7 millimeters works just fine. So you can do that, or you can find the value that works better for you. Now we want to mirror this to have another couch on the other side, but how we'll do this is actually using an empty, because as I did say before, doing this with an empty, it's a little better because it gives us a lot more flexibility. Later on we can just move the mirror however we want, so the mirror object rather. All right, so let's actually call the cube couch. All right, and now let's apply, actually let me do one more thing. Let's get this part, G and X, move it just a little tiny bit. Yeah, actually let's do it all. Don't forget to be in X-ray for this. um, it is one of the most important parts actually. Don't ever forget about it, because otherwise you will select just one side, and then your mesh will basically be well, not good. Okay, so let's apply the mirror on the x-axis, and we will do it by the empty, which we will call the wagon mirror, but we will I'll do this a little later. And just as I said, I can now move and play around with it to see what's fitting for me. Also, let's take this maybe just a little bit down like this. It does intersect with the floor, doesn't it? Okay, this is better. And actually, we might want the floor to actually. Okay. All right, now shade is smooth, and look how adorable this is. Okay, having all this, what we do need are those hangers, or those hanging places where you put your luggage. Again, same idea. Get as simple of a geometry as you want and can. Just make sure it fits, the scene, proportionally speaking. Let me see. Okay, this does a pretty good job, and we can actually just move this up a little bit, because most of them are moved upwards. Okay, this is a pretty cool one. All right, and all we have to do for this one is actually mirror it by the empty. Again, on the X, and now we have that as well. And let's bevel it. But don't forget to actually apply the scale and also the rotation. And yeah, let's just see what's working for this. Kind of about there works for me. And shade is smooth, and it looks pretty good. How about that? All right. And what else could we want? Let's actually move this a little bit, because you can see that the other hanger was a little bit out, because they're not in perfectly middle. As you can see, even with this here, they're not perfectly in the middle or anything. And actually, we could use this a little bit, kind of like this. Yeah, this way is better. And with all this being done, we would need some lamps, which is pretty easy to do. and maybe some luggages to kind of make it, look a little more lively. Look like, yeah, there are people around, even though we won't have people around. All right, so getting to the lamp. Um, well, this is actually not that complicated. All we need is actually, let me think. Can we do it? I think we can do it at just a cone. Again, this has to be simple. We don't have to complicate stuff. Keep it simple, keep it there. So maybe some like this. Okay. Gen X. Let's actually scale it down just a little bit more. Let me work just on it for a few seconds, because what we should be doing is actually create. See, that's a problem with cones and why I don't use them so often. Hmm. Yeah, no, the cone is not the right choice. That's for sure. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. The first is the quads. As you saw, when I try to make a loop, it doesn't let you because you don't have good enough topology. So we'll actually use a cylinder for this. Um, and just do it like this. All right. So for the cone, we'll actually get a cylinder, put it right about here, and all you gotta do is really scale this down a lot, and let's actually put it in the right position. So Gen X, R and Y to kind of make it something like this. And scale this actually a little bit more, and then Gen X again, kind of about there. And the reason is just about here. It's because we will put another thing. But before that, let's make this an actual cone or an actual lamp per se. Okay. No, really? Okay, something like this. This will work just fine. Now let's shade it out of smooth for now. We will bevel it, but before we do that, right? Let us actually go to, well, let me actually dash it just a second there. And what we do is select this face, Shift and A, actually no, Shift S, sorry, and put the cursor right in the middle there. And getting out of this, let's get ourselves a little curve, a little basic curve. Go into edit mode, A, X, and a little those vertices, and just create a curve that we need to have. And actually, we should make this aligned. And okay, the reason we want this, it's because there has to be kind of a holder for the lamp, or well, also some cables maybe, but we will not do that. Like, we will not bother that much. And let me go. All right. So at the depth, which is right here under geometry, let's create this so that it actually fits our lamp. And I think this is good enough. All right. It doesn't have to be as big as the lamp is. It has to just be, you know, enough for the lamp to actually make sense. So now we can actually, take the lamp and control A, scale this, and also let's apply the rotation as well. And what we should be doing is bevel it, make it look a little friendly, let's call it. And let's see what's fitting for this. All right, so 2 millimeters seems to work kind of okay. Yeah, I love that. Shade is smooth, and that's how it's going to look. And for those that wonder Well, there are a few things we'll actually do more than we did for the others. So first, we will take the let's actually call it lamp holder. All right, and okay, for this is gonna be the lamp itself. Okay, um, it's gonna be mirror inside. All right, perfect. This is doing pretty good so far. Um, so with all this being done, right? What we have to do is actually get the support right here and the lamp and Control P to parent them, right? Because we want to, you know, move the lamp and move the support at the same time. Because we're going to have 4 lamps in our wagon. So the way we do it is also add an array modifier, which will be not on the X, but on the Y. And yeah, kind of about here. Let's make it at 3.5. Yeah, that works perfectly. Add it as well to the support. Same thing, 3.5 on the Y. And yeah, no, again, the dimension means it's not gonna let us do this. So this actually has to have a bigger, um, you know, bigger distance on the array modifier. And we can save this. All right, so with this being done, now comes the really easy part, which is we'll mirror them. All we gotta do is mirror these. So take this, mirror, and we will mirror them, of course, by the empty that we created. And there we go. And of course, do the same exact stuff for the support here, which I cannot apparently select. All right, finally. All right, so go here, mirror, and right here. Okay, and this is the lamps. So one more thing that we should do is the luggages. Um, that's actually, you know, kind of the easiest part, if you ask me, because again, we don't want to waste a lot of time on these. So let me actually do this. All right, perfect. Cube, we scale it way down, kind of about here maybe. Scale it on the Y, scale it on the Z. We have to make the scene look sense, make sense. Sorry. And there is a small problem because of the dimensions. That's why you usually should use, you know, actual dimensions from the real world. But I think we're fine. I think for all intents and purposes, this will sell the scene just enough, and we don't have to bother so much with, you know, worrying about the scene not being good enough or whatever. All right, so let's put this somewhere like this maybe. And as we can see, it does intersect. We don't really care because we can't see that, but let's actually, you know, try to not have that. And one more thing, maybe we want to um, take this and snap it. Nah, it's not doing a good job. All right. Why is the rotation of this one even changed? Is it what I did just now? All right. So let's put it somewhere around here. It's in the air now. Why is it like that? All right, something like this. This works. Good. So all we have to do for this is actually come here. Well, apply the scale and the rotation, of course. Bevel it. Let me see. Here we are. Great. Great, great, great. And let's again, uh, play with the distance here and shade smooth. And yeah, this is kind of it. So I'm going to do a few more luggages just to put up here, and then I come back for the next part that we'll do. All right, so I did do a little bit of modeling, more than usual, right? So I did a luggage, just as I showed you earlier, and all you gotta do to get, like this support for the luggage, it's, make a plane, get a solidify modifier and a bevel, and that's kind of about it. Again, really simplistic geometry. I'm not, uh, you know, going over the board with this. Same for this one. It's actually just this one copied, and a Bezier curve here for like the handle of the luggage. Now, I will also try to do like the cage for the Hedwig's cage, um, for our own owl, right? Really, just because I like that way too much. So, what we need for that is gonna be a cylinder. All right, and let's just scale this down quite a bit, and let's actually go to see just the cylinder itself. All right, so go into X-ray mode, and let's actually get this up. So G and Z for this, and let's make it way thinner, right? So scale on everything but Z. And that's about it, right? And what we do with this, because this is where the fun starts, right? Um, well, we first will extrude this on everything, but I think X. Just a second though. So actually, let's go EZ, down like this, and let's just move this um, GY somewhere like this. The reason we do this, it's really because we need to create. Uh, does this look okay? It seems weird, doesn't it? Yeah, no. Actually, I'm dumb. So let's delete the cylinder because we don't. We are way easier to do this with just a Bezier curve. It's easier, it's faster, and why wouldn't we use it if we have it? So let's make this aligned first. All right, and then SY0 and okay, now they should be equal at least when it comes to Y, and SX0 to also be equal when it comes to X. So looking at it from the side view, so press on 3, and what we have to do is move this a little bit towards the Y, right? I think this is actually a little too much, so let's go something like this. And let's just move this on everything but X, maybe somewhere around there. And we will need to have this, like a bent cylinder, basically, because, well, that's kind of what it has to be. That's too big here. So something like this does work. And now all you gotta do is go to geometry, give it a depth, something like that maybe, and it's going to look pretty good. All right, so having the curve done, we converted to a mesh. I already did that. and go into edit mode and have the spin tool selected. So the tool right here, right? Spin. So what we need is to get the cursor up here, all right? From where we basically want all of these to be connected. And now, going on top with 7, select everything. So all the mesh is selected, right? And just spin the tool. Let's actually somewhere around the 330 degrees. And we will use duplicates. And this is how it will look like, right? This will give the exact, well, more or less at least, the exact view as if we had, you know, the cage. So let me actually do that one more time. All right. And again, we will use these. You can increase the number of the steps, which will, you know, give less or more bars for the cage, basically. Depending on what you want, though. This is totally up to you. And you can also choose to have them in the middle, so all of them here, or to just have them a little separated, and you basically will just put something here, which is what I will choose to do. All right, so having this, we're just going to get this done like this. And I just thought I should have filled the caps here, which is something I didn't do. And well, it's not actually that bad now that I said think about it, because it's less geometry for me to worry about. But still, would have been a pretty good idea. So have this plane kind of about here, and go to edit mode, go to select mode, and activate the uh, X-ray. All right. So now all we gotta do is just kind of match this with what we need, which is actually not gonna work like this. What we will probably need is actually, instead of that, we will get a circle. Yeah, I should have gotten a circle at the beginning. And GY, get it in here to cover everything, Gen Z, and in edit mode, just select everything, press fill to fill the entire thing. And let's see how this looks. All right, E, and then Z to cover all this, and then F one more time. And now we have the head of the cage, which, yeah, you know, it's not a greatest cage ever, but it's definitely doing its job. Let's bevel it, actually. Something like this. And maybe even scale it a little bit. All right, good. Also, let's scale it on Z just a little more. Apply the scale. And there we have it. We have the base of the cage, basically. What else we will need? Well, I guess you all know we will need, you know, like maybe one or two other curves. So let me actually get Bezier curve right here. Edit mode, delete all the vertices it has right now, and let's just, you know, get it in. Select everything, make them aligned. All right, and let me see. So GY, and let's bring it up here. Actually, we will need it to be inside of this, because this will make like the connection. All right, this will be more or less welded to this cage, outside of the cage anyway. And yeah, so move on everything but Z, and let's get this done. We might need to, you know, get some more handles in there, make it uh, you know, work properly. But for now, let me just try this. As I said, it's way more convenient to try to use um, a low number of handles, right? Because that way you have a much easier way to control the curves, and also it's just better overall. All right, so from here we go with another one. So we'll have 4 handles probably. Okay, this will be something maybe like this. And again, make sure that everything is set where it has to be. So this, for example, was not in here, which, is a problem for us. Okay, and selecting this. Actually, why am I in layout? No, shading, sorry. I should be in layout mode. And um, well, this was a mistake because I would not be able to see the cage, which is kind of the point of this whole thing. Because this way I can actually see what I'm doing. You can do that by selecting, the gauge and this at the same time. But why would I do that when I already have them selected? So as at 0, because for some reason that got changed. Same with this one apparently. So as at 0, make sure they are at the same level on the z-axis. That's very important. All right, so having this, G and Shift Z to move it on everything but Z. And let's see. Very good. We seem to be good on all of them. What about here? All right. Seems to be okay. So with that being done, let us get it like this. And also again, move it, play around with the bodies. And make sure you play enough with the handles so the curve doesn't seem too stretched or have some weird shape because of the movement of the handles. All right, so this, for example, yeah, something around there is good. And then we can just fill this in, and there we have it. We have the curve, and this is perfect. Right, so all we have to do is make a depth. This can be way thinner than the actual the other ones, and we'll leave the resolution as it is. All right, and let's look at it. So we can also get a few of these out, maybe scale them a little bit. Okay, that's pretty cool. And again, let's duplicate this one, scale it in this time, somewhere maybe around there. Yeah, this works perfectly. So by having this, let me select this one, Gen Z, scale it in just a little bit, and this one, Gen Z, and that's kind of about it. And the cage is basically more or less done. Now, the last thing we need to do, because yes, there is one last thing, is actually to select this face here, make the cursor be right in the center, because we will have another circle. So go to mesh, select not the cylinder, sorry. Actually, we can do it with a cylinder as well. So take the cylinder, scale it way down, S and Z, scale it just on the Z axis, and let's make it kind of like this. All right, and this is the bottom. All right, so this is the bottom of the cage. And let's shade it smooth, because of course we will also bevel it, just like we did for all the others. So scale it, bevel. Let me just find the right amount here, kind of like this. And yeah, now it looks good. All right, make sure everything is shaded to smooth. This as well. And yeah, there you have it. This is the cage for our own owl in Harry Potter. How about that? Now there's one last step, which is to actually parent them all. Right. So we take all these curves and we will parent them to the floor, just like so. We take all these curves and we parent them to the other curves. Just, well, not like that, but like this. And we will take, well, that was not a great idea. Yeah. We will take the head of the cage and also parent it to the curve there. And by doing so, when we scale this down, we will have everything. Okay, let me retake this. Just a second there. All right. Control P. It's parented. That's also parented. And yeah, let's scale this down. All right. For some reason, those disappeared. I think it was because I parented it with the inverse. So when you go Control P, I parented it without the inverse, and because of that, when I moved it, those curves there didn't know what to do. So make sure you will parent them with all the transforms, right? So just scale it as I said, and then just play around with it. Put it wherever you think it's better. You can also maybe just put it, not up there, but on the couch. Because from what I remember, that's exactly how Harry had it. So actually, we can take one more look, just like this, because yeah, look, there is one reference like that. I knew there was one I found that was something like this. But yeah, that's basically it. And all we have to do now is just array this for all the others. So we can take this, array them for this wagon, and then take all of that and array them 4 more times, 3 more times actually. So how to do that? It's pretty simple. First, we give an array modifier to this one. And it has to be on the x-axis, and do it something like this, right? This looks pretty good, and it's pretty okay. Same with the cage. Just yeah, that's the one annoying thing. You'll have to stay and select each of these. You could join them and have only one body basically, but I don't usually do that because you will mess up a little bit the geometry and all. So oh, I have to array them separately, don't I? Great. So actually, I did say I'm not going to do it, but I'm doing it. I'm not gonna stay and do all this. So select everything here and press. Well, let me select all of these. Press Control J, and now these are joined. There's something wrong with these curves, and I think it's because they're not meshes yet. So convert these to meshes, apply their scale, and now we could actually do what we said. Let me just have this and select everything again with shift left click and then Control and J, and there we have it. Now this is a mesh all by itself. It will unfortunately kind of destroy the bevels for the others. I don't know if you can see it, but it did ruin them a little bit. But you can't notice that. So um, if you go into the actual edit, the problem that I was talking about is that basically now what the join button does, right, is just putting the meshes together in one whole mesh. And you have intersections of the faces here, which is not, the greatest thing ever. Um, and this is why I didn't really want this. But you know what? I don't think it's going to do any bad for what we need, right? Um, and yeah, just the cage will be like this. Yes, the mesh is not right, but it's not going to, bother anyone. Or I could actually, wait, no. Yeah, no, it bothers me after all. So before we join, right, which it's still joined. All right, now it's not. Is it? It's not. No, it's not. Good, perfect. Because we're just gonna leave the cage in one of the wagons, and that's about it. All right, the others won't have it, so we won't care about it. So have this, array it as well, just like so, and just set it so it looks right. And do this 2 more times, and that's about it. We will do this for all the bodies and come right back up. All right, so after having everything modeled, right, all we have to do is array stuff, right? So this is exactly what I've done already um, for some of the bodies. So just array them, and after you arrayed it in the first wagon, get another array modifier, right? And on the x-axis, just move them so that they actually fit the scene. So let's look at it from the frontal perspective, right? Something like 1.36. Too much. 1.355. I'm pretty sure this is this is gonna be the one, unfortunately. So it's not an exact number, unfortunately. So do this 2 more times, and now all the wagons have the chairs, all the wagons have the floor. Also, we will do this exact process for the supports here. I'm not gonna put the luggages, like not everything. The first one is a little more detailed than the others, but that's kind of about it. And to me, it makes sense, right? Because you will see most probably the first one a little more, and you will see the details in there, but that's kind of about it. The others will just seem to be the same. So also let's move this somewhere where it makes sense. So probably the same. Yeah, 1.355. It's doing the job. And do this 2 more times as well. Well, actually, apparently here, it's not going to do the job. How about that? All right, because these were duplicated. They're not arrayed. So now this doesn't look okay. Well, that's annoying. Um, well, the way we can solve this, it's actually pretty easy. It's by actually arraying this so that it does make sense. It's not a perfect thing, but it's going to do its job. So 1.137 maybe. 1.14. Well, 1.145 should do. More or less, yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see for this one, this is a little offset. So this is not perfectly right. It looks the better, the most probably proficient one compared to all the others. All right, so having this, now let's do the same exact stuff for the lamps. Go to array, get the lamps done, and let's see this. Maybe 1.37. Good. Apparently it's too much. Then 1.365 is probably the right answer. More or less, anyway. Alright, 1.367. A magical number. And now let's array this one more time. Get it up here. And 1.1. Probably 3.5. Too little. So 1.13. Actually 4. 1.145. Alright. This looks pretty okay to me. And now one more thing is gonna be from for the supports that I still cannot select apparently. How about that? So array them as well. All right, 1.357. Um, this is the one annoying thing that I have to say about the array modifier is that you don't have uh wait, is it fine? Okay. Um. Yeah. So to get the right number is sometimes kind of a hassle. As you can see, it's a lot of trial and error, which I think it's actually quite annoying. I know these are gonna be messed up because we moved them. So this actually has to be less now, 1.36 v6 or 1.365, and yeah, that apparently should do the job. All right, this is much better. And the supports are not here for the last ones, so of course we select these and we'll have to array them. No, but these also have 1.148. Yeah, apparently the last one will actually not look so good because of it. Um, what we could try to do is actually move everything else. Again, for what we have, that would be honestly not too great. It would not be a good idea because, I mean, to move all the to move no all the wagon and the wheels and the rooftops and all those for something that you cannot even really see, because in the last wagon you won't see almost anything, right? So um that's one of those things that I was talking about, where I'm saying that you have to see what it's worth, wasting time for, and what you should maybe just, be like, yeah, that's fine. No one will notice them, and it can actually be okay. No, actually, there's one more thing we have to do. So take this and mirror it on the Y, and mirror it by the actual wagon. So basically, we will have everything here, everything that we arrayed and model and stuff. Actually, uh, you know, in the wagon. There's something strange here though. Maybe if I put them like this. No, something's. Oh, because he was okay. All right, it didn't make any sense, but yeah. So it was also mirroring X and Y at the same time. So yeah, just do this. Don't have to do it for everything. Again, that side, it's basically the same thing. You won't see it. So is it worth waste too much time on it? No. So let's not do that. Just put them like these. Maybe put a support if you want to. And I would say this is much more than enough for it. Right? And having all this, we basically now have the interior as well. So let me actually just put the windows back in. All right. Just like so. Um, and well, we have to go for each wagon to do it. All right. Did I? Yeah. No. No in the cara. And also here. And also let's put the top back in. So what's the difference now? Well, when we will render and be like in the render mode, there's also the cabin that we have to do this for, but there I think we can actually get away with it. And what this does, well, right now we don't really see anything, because I mean we do see that their models are there, but they're not, they don't have materials and stuff, which is something I'm going to do. But I'm going to do them probably off camera, because you already know it's gonna be easy materials, nothing too crazy. Just take them from like Blender Kit or something. I don't know. But for the cabin, right? What I will probably do is actually use an image texture, because for this one, I think we could get away with it. So let's see. All right, so I did all the lighting and stuff and the materials inside the cabin. This is how it looks. So this is for the lamps. I'm just going to show you right away what it means. So let's actually take this window out. So I have a light that basically is supposed to light like the entire thing from upwards so that we get some information about the luggages. Also, the lamps will also light a little bit inside the wagon. And this is mostly to, again, allow the viewers to basically be able to see what's actually going on, because that's pretty important. Actually, let me show you one more thing before I show you the render. Um, for the materials, I did nothing special really. All I did was UV unwrap some of the objects, and then just using Blender Kit, I put some materials from Polygon, and that's kind of about it. This is the inside of the wagon. This is how it looks. This is how it looks for all of them. Well, minus this luggage or stuff, but basically this is kind of it. Um, so really, that's kind of all you have to do. This one is something I showed you before, which is having two materials. I assign the second material to only the lower part to make a little more sense, and that's kind of it. Also, there's one thing I need to show you, but I will do this after we see how the render looks. Yeah, one more thing actually, and you can see right here. For this one, I didn't waste so much time. I just put an image texture here because no one will really look at what's inside of this. So I just, got the window out, put a little image texture with like the inside of a cabin I found on the internet, and that was about it. And now let's put the window back on, and this is how this looks with only materials. And this is how it looks while rendered. We just have to wait a second there. Well, a little more than a second there. A few more seconds there. And hey, there we go. Well, all right. So basically, as you can see, it's basically what I was saying, right? You won't see a lot of information about this. This is why it didn't matter really what I was doing. But it does look better. It does look like the train has some life to it. It does look like there are people inside the train, and so on and so forth. We will have to change a little bit of the lighting outside because I think it's too strong now because we have also light from the inside. But I really like the way this looks. I think it looks pretty interesting, and I think it looks pretty impressive. So what I wanted to show you is let me actually get this window out one more time, get close in here, and let's actually get to the render view for me to be able to show you something. It's the thing we were talking about with the subsurface scattering, which again, as you can see here, actually this might be a little too strong. Maybe something like this is a little better. And probably the radius is also a little too much. I don't know. It doesn't look that bad. Same here though. This also looks a little too strong here. But if we do this, it's going to light the thing more. So no, this will reflect a lot in the window. This is why I kept it, a little more upwards. So let's keep it like this. So yeah, I did lower the radius here, but what I did want to show you, and just a second for the render view to, okay, compute everything it needs. Right here, you can notice, actually, if I will put this like to one that this is going to be much more obvious that the light is getting through our object, and this is because, oh no, this is way too big. I think this is what I wanted to, yeah. Okay, this is better. This is much better. All right, and these all are alt decopied. So once I do it for one of them, all the others are going to to show or to be the same, right? The same radius and stuff. Um, but yeah, this is what I wanted to show you, the fact that the subsurface actually work. And how do we do this? Again, if you have Blender 3.6 or anything below 4, it's working, right? Like all you have to do is go to the principal BSTF, and I'll show you an image right here and circle what you have to play around with. But you have a subsurface scattering slider that you have to play with. For Blender 4.0, they did change that, right? So what you gotta do is go on your material, and right here at surface, instead of the principal BSDF that we always use, now we'll use subsurface scattering. So we will just tell our body that it has subsurface scattering and just play around with the scale here and the color, and that's kind of it. It's not a lot of work to do. It gives an amazing result, but as I was telling you, this will be affected. Like your computations, the computations that your computer will have to make because of the subsurface scattering is much greater. So, if somehow your render is not working, you have to think about that. Take the subsurface out, and you'll most probably work. Also, we did talk about simulations, which I'm going to show you in the next video. But that will be a little bit different. And what I mean by that is because we have so many lights, because we have so many models with subdivision surface and stuff, that's a problem I did run into the first time I did a train. Because of the whole things that I put here, doing the simulation, I was not able to actually get, the simulation and the whole thing right, like working, the whole render working, because it was too much. So we will use a little trick of actually comping in the simulation. And actually, you know what? Let's do one of the simulations right now. So all you gotta do is get a plane, put it upwards, scale it up. Is this? Oh, okay. This was why. Why was this like this? Um, let's go by individual origins. So scale the plane as much as you can. Well, not necessarily as much as you can, but as much as you need, right? Maybe something like this would work. That's it. I think this is too big actually. The reason I don't want it to be that much bigger, it's because I don't want you'll see, but basically this will create a problem if we make too much uh of a plane here, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's a little hard to explain without actually showing you. So let me actually show you. So let's put no simulation here. The reason I'm showing this, even though it's not exactly a very simple stuff to learn, it's because it's a very useful thing. I don't think it's that hard to do and that hard to understand. Let's just write snow generator. And it does get through to, the simulations, which is a very important part in Blender. And I think a very important part that you most probably would like to know about. So having the plane here, right? We also will need, let's get maybe an icosphere, right? Well, let's just move it a little bit. Scale it way down. All right, something of the sort. Apply the scale, go into edit mode, and basically, let's check our deselect scale. Actually, alt scale. You know, by the way, if your viewer tab, for example, if I try to go even closer, it's not working. It's actually super annoying. There's a little trick helping us out, and the way you do it is go to edit, preferences, navigation, and you have to check the depth. But if it's already checked and it does this, uncheck it, go back to it, check it one more time, and it's still not working. What the fuck? Okay, now it works. So as you see, this works properly now, and we can get way closer to our object to see what's going on. So we don't want that, at least not as big. And this is because it selected it super, like, no, we don't want the checker to select random. Yeah, this is much better. And the ratio should be lower. Let's put a 0.25. Alt S. I don't know, maybe something like this. It doesn't have to be necessarily like this. Control 1 to make it. To give it a little bit of a subdivision surface to make it look better. And that's about it, right? Well, what this will do, actually, I'm going to just put it to the render to 1 as well. What this does and why this is important and we need to have it, this is going to be our snowflake. I know it's not a snowflake per se. We can model that if you really want. So if you want that, leave it in the comments. It's not too hard to do. I actually did do it before for one of the scenes. And now basically what we will want to do is go to the plane, which is our snow generator. Go to particles. So right here in the right, right below the modifiers, we have the particles tab. So the particles tab, it's basically going to allow us to play with, well, particles. And let me add one to just prove you guys. So this is going to be snow. Oh, if I could spell it right, that would work even better. All right, so this is the emitter. So as you can see, you have an emitter or a hair. This is because, well, now Blender has a hair basically generator kind of stuff from Blender 3.6, which is super useful, by the way. But this is the way hairs are put basically on characters, usually in animations and in games. You basically have these little, like, actually edges, kind of the way you see here, that will grow out of, you know, your character's head. And on those edges, you basically will tell Blender, actually, let me put the hair, and this is what you get, this kind of stuff. And you will just tell Blender, all right, all you got to do is tell Blender, hey, look, see all these lines right here? Well, you will model like 3 or 4 types of hairs, maybe, and just tell Blender, replace all these lines with, you know, these hairs I created, and then it will just randomly assign it to these and create your hair. And then you have the hair physics and all. Well, we want the emitter because we don't care about the hair right now, right? So this will, as you can see, it has some it has like a little bowl right here. So we will just want to have more of them. But before we do that, we need to also subdivide this, because this is a lot about how much this has also. So let's put 100, the subdivision of this body, and as you can see, when we simulate it, because we have so much geometry, this will give us a lot of, you know, little spheres. Yeah, that's the word. It will give us a lot of little spheres that we will have there. So having this, I just went back before the subdivision to show you what this will have done. it still does the job, but it's not as good. But if we increase the number here, it should in theory increase also the number of, you know, our simulation. So as you can see, we can have a lot of them. This is pretty cool, I guess. I love simulations, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so we have this, right? This is a lot. This is overkilling. So let's go with 50,000. I think maybe this will be quite okay. And yeah, I would say this is pretty good. But we don't want these spheres to be here. We want our snowflake to be there, right? All right, so yeah, you have to go to render, select from here, from you have path, select the object, and then for the object, we will choose the snowflake. So now, when we simulate this, we should have, in theory at least, the snowflake. But as you can see, this doesn't work. And this is because we already scale it, and this will basically just scale it like half of what we scaled. But we actually want it 2 times the dimension we scaled from. Actually, not even 2. Let's go 10 times. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. 5? Yeah, I think 5 is a better one. So yeah, this will just give us this, which, you know, could be our snow simulation, which looks pretty good, doesn't it? Well, we can increase the number of our snowflakes, and also they move really, really fast down. And here's where simulations really strive, right? So besides the fact that it basically gives us super easy animations, because you basically don't animate anything, the computer does for you, there's where your work really comes in, which is physics. Because for physics, you have to tell it how much of, you know, how hard to fall off, what's their weight, and so on and so forth. And you don't get scared about, you know, getting all really mathematically, and if you're not good at physics or whatever, you don't have to have proper knowledge. You can find a lot of the information on the internet if you need to. But let's put this to, like, I don't know, 0.001 as a weight. They have to be super, super, you know, almost weightless. All right, the drag, maybe a 0.5. That's too much. 0.1, 0. All right. The Brownian basically will just make it go insane because it will jump around everywhere, which I would not recommend for this. What I do recommend is the damp. The damp will help us slow it down quite a bit. Um, yeah, so the damp here will help us out the most because it's slowing it down, but we don't want it, you know, fully slow down. Still want it to fall and see it. So, you know, go to like a 0.15 maybe. And we have our snow, but it's still too fast. It's still too much. So what shall we do for that? We still have stuff that we can put in. If you go to field weight, right? We have, well, a lot of things here, honestly. But gravity is one of the things we want to modify. Let's put it at 0.1 and see what's happening now. As you can see, they don't fall anymore because gravity almost doesn't affect them. Actually, if you put it to 0, they actually go up. So if you put the gravity to 0.5, they will fall, but much slower than they did before. And because we have the damp, you know, this will be even harder to get where we need it to be. So 0.35. And now you just have to play with the values until it gets to where you need it to be. And if you're thinking, but why do they disappear? It's because of the lifetime. So their lifetime is 50 frames, which means each 50 frames, our particles will die out, will just disappear out of nowhere. Uh, and also, it disappears because at 200 frames, it's basically the end of it. So let's actually put this to 300 frames. And what you will see is, well, also let's get this to 100 frames. And let's go. And as you can see, our snow will get down this time. We'll get into our camera view because they don't die until they reach that. Because basically with the damp and the weight and stuff, it took them more than 50 frames to reach our train, which, you know, is a lot. So we don't need that. And now after 100 frames, this will basically not happen anymore. And the way to get this, like, let's say your animation starts, right? You don't want to wait all these 50 frames until your snow gets into the camera view, right? Actually, 65 frames. So what you do usually, this is what I did anyway, you basically will make the snow, instead of start at frame 1, make it start at frame minus 65. And the moment that happens, let's go back. This is already out there. The snow is already happening. The particles are gonna be simulated for the entire time. Yes, there will be more computation, that's for sure, but your animation will look great. And having all this, what we have to do now is actually maybe play just a little more with the gravity. Maybe a 0.3 will do a little better even. It does slow it down. It does make it, you know, work a little bit. Maybe, you know, maybe even some Brownian work could happen, but you have to make it like super subtle. 0, 5, not 25, sorry, just 5. You know what I'm saying? It gives it that randomness. It gives it that vibe of something's happening. It's way more natural. There's some wind there, but it's not going crazy. It's there. So let's put it to 0.00075, and that's what that gives us. And as you can see, it makes it a little better. So the Brownian move, it's basically giving it this random movement, you know, in between all the axes. And if you go with it crazy, it's gonna go crazy. So don't do that. Put it to a 0.007.5, and I think it does perfectly. Also a 0.27 here for the gravity, I think could do even better. So yeah, you gotta play with the values. This is a lot of what simulation is playing with values. Make sure everything looks the way it should look. Make the animation be flawless. Um, see, 0.02 is not working. It's absolutely not working. Oh, I wanted 0.20. 0.2, sorry. But as you can see, even like if I do this, it will take it even more time to get here, right? And that's not good. So 0.2 is not working. Let's make it 0.23 maybe. Yeah, this does the job a little better. A little much better. But I will just have to put this. So this starts at minus 70. And actually this lifetime will be 120. And this should do much better, right? This looks way, way better. And yeah, so this is kind of it. By the way, you can do a trick, right? For this animation to not take so much to load, we can bake it, which means the computer will compute all of this beforehand. And when you press play, it will just smoothly work because it already knows what it has to do. Now, if you will modify any value, you have to delete the bake and bake it one more time. So this is why I kind of recommend it to do it at the end when you know you're done with what you want. And actually, for this, we don't have material yet, right? So, by the way, the plane, in my opinion, should not be viewed. I think we have to. I'm not sure, but I think we have to render it, by the way. Otherwise, we won't see it. We won't see the snow being generated. Also, I would like a material for this one, which is gonna be a snow flake. And actually, all we need to do is put the snow we created. So the snow group right here, put it in, and now we have snow. So will our simulation work? Well, we're about to see. Let me see. All right, and if we put it to materials, we shall see snow now. And again, you can play with a scale in particles, because I think this is this is a little too much. So actually, let the bake. Um, okay, and oh, we could have also changed the velocity to help us, but we did do it from the damp and the gravity. So yeah, velocity is also something you could use to change, the physics of your object, of your emitter, basically. So right, we can come here to the render and have the scale and be like 3 times instead of 5 times. And actually, maybe that's a little too low. Let's go with 4. I think 4 is more or less around where we need it to be. Huh? Or is it still too much? I don't want it to be too distracting. That's the thing. Now, yeah, we leave it to 3. All right, so 3. And let's go bake our simulation. And once it's ready, kind of about there, we shall see it. So our beautiful snow is in there. Let's go to actually frame 110 and actually render this. Let's see how the render will look. So F12 to do this. Or just press, the render from the settings. I'm going to talk all about the renders in like 2 episodes from now, when we talk about how to render stuff. It's gonna be incredible, but for now I just wanna make a little bit. All right, and this is how this will look. This is how our scene looks right now. I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty interesting, and yeah, this is our introduction to simulations. Now, you can simulate a lot of stuff in Blender, basically everything. If you're familiar with like, Houdini, actually, let me save this for my thumbnail. If you're familiar with like Houdini, for example, you might, or at least heard of it. If you know anything about, VFX, or I've even video games and stuff, Houdini is kind of the go-to for simulations because it just does such a great job. But Blender does an amazing job as well, and you can basically do everything you can do in there as well. And yeah, we will do next time. I will introduce you to geometry nodes, which I did talk about. It's an incredibly powerful tool. It's, in my opinion, maybe the most powerful tool Blender has to offer, and you will see exactly why. Also, we will do another simulation for smoke. So there is that. I hope you're excited for that, and let's actually go right to the outro. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking around till the end. I am so glad I've done this. I really like the result we have so far. I think it looks really good. We still have to, play around a little bit with this window. I will teach you. Also, this is where we do the lighting. But when we do the lighting, I will teach you about light linking, and you'll see what that means. It's a very cool... It's a very cool tool that Blender 4.0 comes with. So if you have any other Blender version before 4.0, you don't have that, unfortunately. You have to play around a lot to get these things like this effect, and it's a little unfortunate, but Blender 4.0 is amazing, and that's why everyone is so interested in it, because of light linking. Well, it's not the only thing, but it was the most exciting thing they had showing up. So, with all this being said, I am so happy to announce that we are at this point, by the time I'm filming this video, 88 people on this channel. I am so proud of you. I am really so proud of this channel for actually getting, to 88 subscribers in such a short time. And thank you so much for your support. And also, I hope that you are enjoying this process and actually learning a lot out of it. And yeah, all I can say is many more videos will show up. Maybe I will do a little bit of a change. So instead of posting daily, I will probably post 1 in 2 days. The reason for it, it's because of my schedule, which is super, busy lately. And also because I think I can bring better material and better videos that way. And also it gives time for you guys to, digest all that content, alright? So, with all this being said, I wish you guys an amazing weekend. I hope you enjoyed this Saturday. I hope you're ready to learn, because we still have, a few more videos to go. Probably 3 or 4 until we finish this and we render it. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. So, thank you guys so much for showing up. Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for being here. And I want you to really take this in and understand how cool it is that you came all this way to actually learn such an amazing, but also hard program. So good job, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye, guys.